Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday, May the 14th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and a quick look at our uh, daily chart. You can see we another big bullish day. We actually traded lower, reversed, rallied. There was two legs up today, and we rallied back into the midline, and we couldn't pierce that midline. So we continue to push higher. Again, my guess is we're going to retest these highs. That would be that'd be your typical expectation on how price action would follow through. So my assumption is that's where we're headed. So we got to get through this midline first, but at some point we'll probably do that. That'd be my guess. So anyway, there's a look at it. Big bullish, kind of bullish reversal day on the daily chart. But when you look at it on the 2000 tick chart, it's two legs up for the most part. We didn't quite get two measured legs, but we attempted it. But let's flip over there to that 2000 tick chart and we'll take a look at it. And what I saw was, notice after the news came out, we had this big spike down, but then we spiked up, went into this channel, had a break, moved to a new high, and then we had a two-legged correction there. I didn't mark that, but I'm guessing it's probably close to being two measured legs. See, we didn't quite get two measured legs, and then we rallied off for another big leg, trying to make that second leg up. And you might, I mean, generally I'm going to go to the high point before the correction started, but it might be here, and you see that does kind of fit better, but we went higher than that. But generally 9 times out of 10 I'm going to measure it from the low point to the high point before that two-legged correction occurred. But there's no denying there's a two-legged correction there, and then another leg up. We didn't quite make the measured move, but it's there all the same. And then once the two legs had corrected, we had another trend up. We got a little bit of an overshoot here, but all that did was lead to pretty much another spike in channel that we were pretty much in until well after the 2:30 cutoff time, and we sold off a little bit right there at the end. Probably people day traders profit taking. But let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. And not again, the volume continues to be low. The setups are low. So I mean, there's still plenty of trades here, but not the kind of volatility and setups we'd been getting in the past. But we had this news item. We had one at 9 o'clock. That was the Powell speaking. I usually don't pay much attention to these Fed speakers because you don't know when they're going to say something, if they're going to say something at all. So, I mean, be aware of them. But generally, you know, you're not going to want to sit on the sidelines for that, really. Uh, but this PPI stuff, you got to pay attention to it, and you can see there's a big sell-off. So really, you couldn't trade till after 7:30. Well, things settled down pretty quickly here. I just don't see any real way to get in that on the way up. Uh, this was a second entry, but this is your signal bar. And so with this being an inside bar and an equal high, I don't like that trade. But you got your close outside, move to a new high, but then we'd already pretty much set this flatter channel already. This was just a little steep, so we went into this flatter channel, and you can see it was valid all the way up until we got a break around 9 o'clock, moved to a new high, and then that's when we got the two-legged, kind of went sideways to down there on that two-legged correction. So but we're just working our way up here, and notice you got a new swing high here, and you come down, you get a first entry, then it breaks lower again and turns back up. You could trade this on the engulfing bar or wait till here. We do get those 3 sideways bars, so if you waited, you may not have taken that because it looks a little congested, but I really like taking that one on the engulfing bar right off the key entry point after we've turned up off it multiple times. We run up, we get a close outside, and we just start working sideways until we drop. And notice we moved, this dash line would be a measured move based on the width of this, and notice we go perfect measured move really. And you get a 1, 2, 3 triple test right off the key entry point, right off these lows here. And that sends us higher again. So I like going long right there above that bar. You can't trade this on the engulfing. You got to wait till it closes and then trade it. We do run up, and we fell out the top side as well, and that gives us our breaks. There's actually 2 legs down here, but the first entry is right here, and then it turns down again, and when it breaks above there is a second entry. There's plenty of room back to the midline. Now there is some concern about maybe a retest here, but I believe we had a close outside here. It's, you know, it looks fairly convincing. So it really looks like 2 legs down. So we could rally here, or we could run back up to the EMA and then come back down. But I think it's worth taking that second entry right there, just to try to ride it back to the EMA. And we may go all the way back to retest the highs, which we do. So this turned out to be a really nice trade on that second entry. And then, of course, you get a break here, a new high. There's a lower high here. I did not mark it because it didn't break lower, and you got all that support across there. So that makes it dangerous to go short right there. I just skipped over that one, and you just didn't really get another opportunity to enter this. And we run all the way down, and we did need to fill the gap. Notice we opened up here at 8:30, and we hadn't filled that gap yet, which is this red line. So you had to assume that's what prices were attempting to do. And then you got to close outside. You didn't quite get a new low here. I would have liked maybe trying to take this long, but with the 2 bars matching high and this, you know, 2 equal bars, makes it a little bit concerning. And then of course it does break lower here and turn up. I don't think you want to trade that on the engulfing bar. It is a triple test of the yesterday's close. But by the time it gets up here, that's a really big bar. It's like 12 ticks, and there's not a whole lot of room to these highs here. And so you got to be a little concerned. If you took it, it works. I just wasn't crazy about it. Maybe you mark it green. It turns out that it works, but it's just a big bar with not a lot of room back to the EMA or really to that last high there. You got to be concerned about it too. I would wait on a high or low. I think basically this is a high or low after the double bottom, but I'd wait on something better than that. There is a second entry long here, but that's just too congested. We're still below the EMA, and it just keeps chopping higher, but you just really don't get a setup until up here. Notice finally you get a move down, you get a break higher first entry, turns back down here. So when it breaks above those 2, that's a second entry long right off the key entry point. Turns out to be a nice little quick move, and then it reverses. So we head for another. That's when you'd look for a possible measured leg down, and you just get a first entry here, first entry here. Not the signal bar is no good, and you do get a second entry here, but the signal bar is this bar, and it's too bullish, so no real setup there either. And then finally we get down here and we just get stuck in a little tight range, but you get a triple test right here. Technically you could argue you already had a triple test, but it makes a new high and there's not much room there to the lows. But when we come over here and it makes a lower high, that would also be a first entry, second entry. So that's a lot better bar. Take it. You got room to get out before this low and the lows of the range. And it ends up going a little further. And so now you've had a close outside and a couple of legs down. This was really tempting. I didn't mark this one because it makes a new low and it's a lower low and not a higher low. But it is, this is a new high because there's a double top there. So first entry, second. It is a second entry. It's one you might argue for green. I would wait. Of course, if you wait, you don't get any other opportunity to enter it. And that's why sometimes these are worth taking. But we didn't quite have that measured move either. So I was afraid it would break higher and make one more push down. So I didn't like it in real time, but you know, maybe you take that trade. It is a second entry. It is a failed break lower. There's some reasons to like it, but there's reasons to be concerned about it too. So of course this thing just takes off and you don't really get any entry setups here until you get a big overshoot. And it comes back, gives you a first entry and then a second entry right off the key entry point. Normally I'd say you might be worried about that, but because it bounced 2 more times and it's the second entry with plenty of room, I'd say take that one. I liked it in real time, so I think you have to take that. But anyway, we come back here and confirm the trend line, but we come back one more time and bounce off of it. This really looks like a little range here. I didn't draw it, but let me just put it on here. You could draw this. Really, probably there is where you get the most touches. But you can see it bouncing off the trend line in the EMA, and that's like a fourth time we've tested it. So, and there's plenty of room to this high. You got to worry if this is maybe a range. So I did mark it green, but I like that trade. It's just a first entry, but notice how many times it's still 2 legs back to the EMA and the trend line, and it does kind of confirm that trend line right there. So for that reason, I like it. That's a really strong trend, so we'll probably retest this high at a minimum, and that's exactly what happens. And then we get another 2 legs down, but it's well after 2:30 then, so nothing else going on there. And we just kind of traded sideways. We did get a break here and turn down, but we didn't trade very far. So there it is. We had a leg up, 2-legged correction, and a second leg up. It wasn't quite a measured move, but it was close enough. And so that's how I saw it. You might have played this somewhat as a range, but we don't have consistent highs here. You could probably use the close from yesterday as consistent lows and trade that as strong support, which we pretty much did, as you can see across there. But not much else you can say about it today. So limited trades. Again, the volume continues to be lower. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But it looks like we're still headed higher for now. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.